Welcome back to the Immigration Answers Show. It's your boy, Jim Hacking. Hope you all are doing well. I'm wearing my New York Jets gear. It's the first game of the season. They're already losing. Surprise, surprise. I scheduled the meeting for today because I figured the Jets would already be down, and it's only 3-0, so it's not too bad. And I might give you some updates as the day goes on. I'm going to be traveling on the back end of this week, so we're going to do shows on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Might do on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know yet. Hope you all are doing well. I put the link to the waiting room. We already have some people in the waiting room. I'm going to get to them right away. I might stop a few minutes late just so I can make it to my daughter's softball game. It's cold and rainy here, so I got to swing by the house and get sweatshirts and things. Hope you all are doing well. Everybody, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to see it in the comments, and I'll just have you know that I am on my own today. No one else is watching the board, so I will do my best to pay attention to the camera, pay attention to the listeners, and let's go ahead and get started. Vladimir is here. Hi, Vlad.
Hi. Yes. Okay. Apparently, you can see my video.
I got you.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how many more people are participating?
There are 67 on right now. There's 10 people.
Okay.
The waiting room is full. What can I help you with?
I have a question about the Fiance visa.
Go for it.
Basically, currently, my fiance and her children are awaiting their interview on Tuesday. It was promised, but not officially scheduled. In other words, we did not receive an official invitation letter and have not been able to get in touch with the U.S. Embassy via email, which is the only communication they accept. My concern is that my fiance's eldest daughter is going to age out if there are any further delays. Could you tell me if she reaches her 21st birthday after the interview, but before arriving in the United States, will she be able to essentially? Her birthday is on October the 4th. If we schedule an interview before that date, but there is a delay with obtaining visas and so on, and arriving here in the States, will she lose her eligibility to travel with her mother?
Let's back up a minute. So you have a K-1 on file for your fiance, and she has 4 children?
The total of 4, but only 3 of them are traveling.
Okay, and why do you think you have an interview on Tuesday, but you don't have documentation? What makes you think there's an interview on Tuesday?
Okay, originally our interview was scheduled about a month ago. However, my fiance missed that appointment for personal reasons. Then we contacted the embassy again via email.
What
they
embassy
responded
is it?
Immediately.
What embassy is it?
Sorry, embassy.
Which embassy?
Oh, in Jerusalem, Israel.
Okay.
And we explained the situation. We said that we are still planning to pursue this and so on. And they replied in an email that we're looking forward to seeing you on September 13th. Okay. We replied to them that this may be too late. Please try to schedule something earlier. And they said that they will try to schedule it.
Well, but here's my question. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. So one of the 3 children is going to be 21 on October 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Well, coming on a fiance visa doesn't get her any status because you have to get married.
Oh yes.
But hold on. You have to get married. How are you going to get married and get her a green card before she turns 21? If she turns 21 in less than a month, I don't understand how this is going to work.
I was under the impression, please correct me if I'm wrong, that as long as she is in the country and we have already been married officially, then she will be able to apply for adjustment of status.
Who told you
And
that? Who told you that? Why is that? Where do you get that impression?
I believe from reading various websites regarding fiance visa, from conversations to lawyers and so on.
I don't know. I haven't actually had this, Vladimir. I haven't had this situation come up before, so that might be right. It doesn't sound right to me, though. Doesn't sound right to me, because the Child Status Protection Act will freeze her age for certain periods. But at the end of the day, if she's over 21 when she enters and then applies for adjustment, and actually, yeah, that's something to research. I don't think you can plan 100% that she's going to be able to come, and two, that she's gonna be able to get her green card. I don't know that that's gonna happen or not.
So if our marriage takes place before her birthday, as far as I understand, she will be eligible to enter the United States on a K2 visa, as long as it's before her birthday.
Well, of course, is she going to come with her mother?
That's the hope. Yes.
So you just said if she comes on the K2, I think your timing is off. I don't think this timeline makes sense.
Okay, so maybe I did not explain myself clearly.
Okay.
So the interview is in a couple of days.
Right. So the interview, let's say the interview's on September 13th. Everything goes well, and they give you all a visa, right?
Yes.
And then everybody comes to the United States, your wife or your fiance and the 3 kids, and then you get married before October 4th.
Yes.
And you file for adjustment before October 4th.
Yes.
For everybody. I still think there's a very good chance she ages out. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure because I haven't had this happen before, but I think I think you really need to research whether or not she's going to be able to be treated underneath her mother's K1, or if she's going to be considered to have aged out and have to wait for mom to get a green card and then apply as the unmarried daughter of a LPR. I just don't know.
Okay. So far, first of all, I thought that this was a fairly common occurrence, and that attorneys I've spoken to would have a ready answer for me.
Did they put it in writing?
Those I've spoken to, no. So far,
yeah. So you have nothing in writing from anybody who's sat down and analyzed the timelines. That's what you need. You need someone. It's really easy to talk to a few attorneys and go in a few chat rooms and ask people questions. That's all bullshit. That's not the same thing as hiring someone to research, because it's one thing to research it, but you're going to have to prove it. It's your burden to show that she's eligible. So I'm worried about her.
Okay. Your point is well taken. I don't know how I would be able to research it on my own. So would I need to hire an attorney at this moment, or after they arrive in the United States?
If she's getting on the plane, I think you want to know beforehand whether she's going to be able to go all the way through to a green card or not before she comes. That's what I think. And this isn't something that we would do because we don't do research projects anymore. We only handle cases, but you should hire an attorney to do it. Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any recommendations as to where I can turn to find somebody who's willing to do this research, or perhaps has been in this situation and knows the exact answer?
I can think about it, and I can even do a little bit of light checking if you email me. If you email me at the office and say I was the first one on the show on Sunday, we can look it up and see what we can figure out.
Thank you. And also, I don't know if anybody has additional questions. I don't want to take up your entire time.
There are a bunch of other people, Vladimir, so I'm going to let you go.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye, buddy. All right, that was Vladimir. That was a very interesting question. But that'd be fun if it works. I don't know for sure, though. All right, let's say hi to Nathaniel. Hi, Nathaniel.
Hey, Jim. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. So my story, I came to United States in 2009 on an A2 visa. And I think about a year into that, I got married. I think I was in Florida. to file for adjustment of status, and I was denied because they said they contacted the government and said I got my visa fraudulently to come into the country, which there was a discrepancy because I came on the previous government before the government that was in power when they decided to do my background check. So to them, I wasn't working for their government. And so I think they denied me. And I would say 3, 4 years ago, I married my second wife, who unfortunately died of cancer. And we were in the process of where we did file. By then, I had moved to Georgia. I'm in Georgia.
What happened to the first wife?
She couldn't. She lost her job, and she decided she wanted to move to another state. So it kind of caused a problem between the two of us.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then, I met this lady. I think 3 years later, and then we stayed for, I would say, 4 years before we got married. We filed, and they denied it based on the same basis. But whilst we were about to appeal the case, is when she got a cancer. So I decided to drop everything because at that point it wasn't important. And I would say she died. Yeah, she died 2019.
Okay.
And recently met a lady. We got serious. We decided to get married, and at least to help me file for my papers. But I wanted to know what would be my chances now to file again.
So you're on marriage number 3. That's going to make them suspicious. You still have the misrepresentation on the passport. On the visa, have you done anything to document that you did not commit a misrepresentation when you came on your A2?
When you say document, can you further elaborate?
Do you have any proof that? So they say you lied to get your visa. They said you lied to come into the United States.
Right.
That's going to keep you from getting a green card, even if you get married 20 times, or even if you have a 23-year-old U.S. citizen child who sponsors you. So what have you done, if anything, to prove your claim that you didn't lie to get your visa?
Well, that is what we were going to try to appeal with, with my wife who passed away. But in terms of document, since I've been here for almost 12 years, the only documentation I don't know if it's a document is I didn't go to the embassy for an interview to say I lied, because all that were done by the government on my behalf.
But you still filed a DS-160.
What's the DS-160?
That's the form you file with the State Department to get the visa. If not for that, you wouldn't have gotten a visa.
Yeah, but that wasn't filed by me. That was done by the ministry, or as you call it, a department here.
So it's still yours. It's not theirs. It's still yours. It's not theirs. They're not the ones standing around getting married and looking to get a green card. You're the one standing around looking to get a green card. So if you filed it, if your cousin Eddie filed it, if the government filed it for you, somebody filed it for you, and the U.S. government believes that there was fraud or misrepresentation involved in getting that visa. So like I said, whether you have a 21-year-old child who can sponsor you, whether you're married to wife number 3 and it's a legit marriage, none of that stuff matters unless you can. You said that it was because of the change in government. And my question is, do you have any proof that it's the change in government that resulted in you getting the visa that maybe you shouldn't have gotten? That's a claim you make. And I'm wondering, have you done anything to develop proof of that in the 12 years that you've had here?
I don't know of documentation. I just know that was an established guideline in our country, in Ghana to be specific, where anytime there's a transition from a new government to an
how do you know that?
That is something that is in our constitution over there.
So it says in the Constitution that if you get a visa to the United States...
No, not about the constitution about getting a visa. What I was trying to explain is where the discrepancy might be between the previous government and the government that was around by the time I had already been in the country.
But what proof do you have of that? That's you saying that. But what proof do you have? Do you have an expert who would say that? Do you have news reports that would say that? Again, it's your burden. It's your burden. It's not the U.S. government's burden. They have concluded that you committed fraud, and fraud keeps you from getting a green card
Mm-hmm.
unless you can either prove there wasn't any fraud or that you can prove that there's extreme hardship to your new spouse. And now you mentioned Ghana. I mean, Nigeria and Ghana are high on their fraud lists. So
Mm-hmm.
that this just feeds into the narrative that they've been telling themselves that every man from Ghana who tries to get a visa or comes to the United States is lying.
Okay.
And so in answer to your question, what chances do I think you have? I think your chances are pretty small. And I think your chances would improve if there's some way you could prove that you were legally eligible and entitled to get that visa and there wasn't any fraud. To me, that's the whole shoot match. Filing the I-130s and getting married, as long as they're real marriages, that's the easy part. The hard part is going to be overcome this fraud determination, especially now that it's 12 years old. Like that's sort of like baked into your immigration history.
Oh, okay. So, so any suggestions as to what else? Because you also rightly said, I've been here so long, I don't know anyone in the government to contact to get records, on my employment.
Well, I would think if you do end up getting married, I would operate on two tracks. I mean, you've been out of status for a really long time, so you probably want to get the marriage case and the adjustment case on status rather quickly so that you can get a work card and get back in status.
Mm-hmm.
I would do that. That's the easy part. Then I would also get your entire file from USCIS to see what they've said about you, what's in their files, what documentation they have. And then probably what I would do is I would look for a legal scholar in Ghana, somebody who's trustworthy that could write an affidavit or give some kind of testimony that, yeah, what Nathaniel says is true. He got he was part of he got his visa under government A. And when he got his visa under government A, he was part of government A and it was legitimate. It wasn't any fraud. And then there was a change in government. So, dear USCIS, we understand why you think maybe there was fraud. We understand why you think there was a misrepresentation, but in reality, there wasn't. There wasn't. So I would operate on sort of those three tracks. Get the I-130 on file, track down your entire immigration file, and then find some expert to, like you say, review the Constitution, review the way things worked, do research, write a memo, because they don't care what Jim thinks. They don't care what Nathaniel thinks. But if there's some expert who says, yeah, this is how that shit works over there, then that might carry the day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jim.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Nathaniel. See ya. All right, that was an interesting case. Got some interesting cases here today. Let's say hi to Reem. Hi, Reem.
Hey, Jim, how are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. So I'm here today to ask about my family case. They want the diversity visa for 2022. They had their interview in July 24th. But
Where?
it was in Djibouti, but they are actually from Yemen, but we don't have an embassy in Yemen. That's why they fly to Djibouti.
Yeah.
And it is actually my mother who won the visa, and then her husband, which is my father, is accompanying her, and two of my youngest siblings are also accompanying her.
Okay.
So when they had the interview on the 24th of July, they were their case was held under administrative processing.
Yep.
So far we didn't hear back from the embassy whether they are going to have a visa or not.
And they only have 19 days left.
Right. And our concern is, first, are they going to have a visa by the end of the month? Knowing that the consular has told them that everything is good in their case, it's just like a routine administrative processing that they have to go through.
That's BS. That's because they're from Yemen and they feel like they can't do a complete background check. So,
I see.
So that's why. I don't think they're going to get it by the 30th. There's an attorney that you should reach out to. His name is Curtis Morrison. Curtis. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Curtis Morrison. They have lawsuits going against the State Department for all the delayed diversity visa winners. I just put his name. If you Google him and just type in diversity visa Curtis Morrison, you'll find his website or his team. You should call his office tomorrow and tell them your situation and see if they can help.
Okay. But there are a lot of similar cases who went to the interview in the same day, and they were held under the administrative processing.
Yeah.
They were all from Yemen and they got the visa already, but we're wondering what's going on in my family's case.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Curtis will tell you. I think what he's trying to do is each year they file a new lawsuit and they try to preserve them. But I don't follow the day to day of how that's going. I know he's still fighting over diversity visa winners from 2 years ago. So there's some way that they've sort of kept them alive, but I don't know how that all works.
All right. But in the meantime, do you recommend that we contact the embassy by any way?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
When-
You should
And
do
then what
everything.
should I mention in the email? What are your suggestions?
19 days. That's what you should mention. 19 days.
And then another thing is that my youngest siblings are missing school for over a month. Would that be something that I should mention in the email too?
They don't care about that.
Okay. All right.
They don't care about your siblings.
Okay, I got it. I will reach out to Curtis and then see what he says.
Good luck, Reem. I hope it works out.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye. All right. Next up, we'll go to Sunny Boy. Hi, Sunny Boy.
Hey, Jim. I have a follow-up question. I was on your show 3 weeks ago, and you answered my questions, but it didn't occur to me to ask that question on that day. So is it okay if I ask you?
What's the question?
So mine was a case of a green card with an incorrect last name. So we filed an I-90, and you gave me an all-clear signal to travel as long as I have the I-90 with me, right? So my question is, I'm looking to travel in the next 3 weeks, and unfortunately, I'm not finding flights that are just directly gonna go to my destination. There are flights that have pit stops in international, like countries like either England or some other place. So my question is, when I come back to the US after my trip, and if I have all these pit stops in the middle en route, do you think they have all the resources, or do you think they're well versed to know what an I-90 form is, these other countries that have pit stops?
Why would you be showing? Are you going to leave the airports?
No, because what happened when I came last time, 2 years ago, was the pit stop was in London, British Airways. And while we were transiting into another flight, there was a immigration checkpoint where they asked for passport and visa. And only after you showed them, they would let you into the next flight. So that happened. That's my experience. So my question to you now is that the other countries, do they have the information at their disposal to see what an I-90 form is?
So tell me again, what's the discrepancy between the green card name and the passport name?
My last name has one letter positioned in a different place.
No one's going to notice, bro.
Okay.
I think it's the same thing I told you last time. I don't think you need to worry about this.
Okay, so I don't have to worry about finding flights that are directly coming into the United States, right? It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and book my flights then, regardless of whether they have pit stops internationally or not.
Good luck, Sunny Boy.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, let's say hi to Shamim. Hi, Shamim.
Hi, Mr. Jim.
How are you?
Nice to meet you. Fine, how are you, sir?
I'm great, thanks.
I'm so happy. I'm Shamim. I'm from Uganda. I don't know whether you know it. It's from Africa, Uganda.
Yeah,
You know? Oh, okay.
I have a friend whose wife is a professor and she does research in Uganda. She goes every summer to Uganda. Sure. What can I help you with?
Wow. I'm a good follower to you. I'm a very good follower. Yeah, I have a case which is disturbing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this case. To cut short for my story, I came back to my country when I was a young age at 16. I was under petition of my mom. So when I arrived in US on 20th January 2005, so I lived with my mom like for 6 months and then come back here because I didn't know the weather. The situation was too hard for me, blah, blah, blah. I didn't grow up with my mom. Cut the story short, then I decided to come back in my country. Then I went back and then I came back. Then I overstayed here for a long time, for over 10 years.
Overstayed in Uganda?
In Uganda.
Did you have a green card?
I had a green card. Yes, I had my green card. But I came back when I was 17 years of age. I didn't even think of what can happen because I didn't know what I'm going to. When you're a teenager, I don't think what you're doing. Just think of what you want. So I came back here, and overstayed. So when time goes on, cut the story short, I applied for my green card, replacement of the green card, I-90. I applied for the application. They sent me a receipt notice. They sent me a receipt notice. I submitted my form on 16th July 2020. I got my receipt notice on 16th July 2020. And then
wait, hold on. Why did you file an I-90?
For replacing my green card.
But you were outside the United States?
Yeah. I don't know whether I'm doing the right thing. That's why I'm asking you. So I don't know.
No.
Okay.
So when was the last time you were in the United States?
I think it was, let me check this ticket. The ticket shows 26 April 2006. April 26, 2006.
So you haven't been in the United States for 16 years.
But yeah, it could be 16, 15 years. Yeah.
So that green card is gone. You don't have any status in the United States anymore. You're starting over.
Oh, okay. So, because my status was, they were like sending me multiple notices to attend my biometrics, blah blah blah. So
That's
I don't know.
That's because they think you're in the United States. Because
They knew that I'm overseas. They knew because they always
knew. Listen, Shami, they knew, but they don't know. Nobody files an I-90 from overseas after having not been in the United States for 16 years. They'll take your money. The computer will issue receipts. The computer will issue biometrics notices, but that doesn't mean there's a valid case. There's no valid case.
Oh, okay. So, okay. So now, Mr. Hacking, I have a spouse in the US. He's a US citizen. So what do you advise me to do now?
Did you say a spouse?
Yeah, I have, yeah, in the US.
You have a U.S. citizen spouse living in the United States.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so they need to file an I-130 petition for you. You're basically starting over.
Okay, so because we wanted to hand over the case to you, sir.
Yeah, we'll be happy to handle it, but we're starting from scratch. It's as if you were never here before.
Exactly. That I know. I understand now the situation. So okay, I talked to Julia on Thursday. So and then you advised me to talk to you for the live show on Sunday, and then you advised me what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. So just why don't you send an email to Julia and tell her that you want to set up a meeting with one of the attorneys and you and your husband, your spouse, and then we go from there. Okay.
Okay, you said Julia, Julia, the name?
Yeah, Julia. Yeah, same person.
Julia. Okay,
Yeah,
because I was talking to her on WhatsApp, blah blah blah. Then she advised.
Yeah.
Okay, so
just tell her
okay.
you came on the show and we need to have a meeting with you and your spouse and the lawyer all at once.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too, sir.
All right, let's say hi to Ron. Hi, Ron. You're on mute.
Hi, how are you, Jim? Hope you're
Good.
well.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Actually, I posted 2 questions in the private chat as well, so I'll just run you through to them. Firstly, I've got a single name on a passport, which is in my surname on a Pakistani passport. So the lawyer that we're working through, the attorney, she suggested that I get my name changed and add my father's name as my last name to avoid the FNU coming up in future in the green card for my 130 marriage-based petition. So I've actually gone ahead and done that.
Okay, so where are you right now?
I'm at the US. I'm based in Dubai. Location, you mean?
Are you in the United States or outside the United States?
Outside of the United States.
And are you married to a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
And what does your marriage license say as far as your last name?
It just has my single name, Ronald, and my father's name as Salim Mehrdin on the father's side. So it's a Dubai marriage certificate from the church.
And it says as the last name. What does it have for your last name?
Nothing. It just says my name as Ronald, and then father's name Salim.
And now you've changed your name, your last name?
Yes, so I'm getting it changed on my passport as per the attorney's suggestion. So the question was, would that affect anything, any delays or RFEs at the USCIS?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
Okay.
You don't get to just, if you've been living your whole life with no last name, you don't get to all of a sudden just pick some other last name and make it your last name. I mean, that's what is your birth certificate? Do you have a birth certificate?
Yes. So the birth certificate doesn't have a thing that says first and last name. It just says my name, and that is just a single name.
Ron?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the question for me?
So the question was, would that affect anything? As you said, it would. And
Yeah.
should I? So we shouldn't proceed with that.
I wouldn't.
Okay. All right. And that's perfectly fine. The second was about my mother being a widow and aged. How is it possible if I want to bring her along with me?
It's a two different part process. You can't sponsor your mother until you become a U.S. citizen, which is going to take 6 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so very much. That was the only question regarding the name
Okay.
thing.
Great.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Ron.
Thank you.
Bye, buddy. All right, let's say hi to SJ. Hi, SJ.
Hey, Jim. Thank you for taking my call. Good
Sure.
afternoon.
Yeah, same to you.
Well, let me run you through the timeline. So I married to a US citizen about 2 years ago, a little bit more than 2 years, and we filed for 130 and 485 August 2021, and we had my wife interview on June last week, and
June last week? What do you mean June last week?
I mean last week of June in 2022, this
Got
last
it.
June.
How'd it go?
Yeah, it went well by God's grace, and I got my social security and my work authorization and my travel document, all these things. But when the result came after a week or so later, which means in first week of August, they said your I-30 is approved, but since you have mentioned that you want to apply for adjustment of status in the US as well as consular processing, we have retained your application. And if you want to apply for AOS, then you should file 485. If you want to go back and apply there, then you should file some other form and they will send my documentation there. But we have very clearly mentioned in our application that we wanted to do AOS here in the US. And that was
why didn't you file the 45 with your I-130?
we filed 485. It was concurrent filing.
Oh, so okay, okay, here's the $1 million question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Did you file on paper or did you file electronically?
On paper.
The I-130?
Yes. All the
Okay.
documents, 130, 485, 765,
So
A64.
what you're telling me is that some way, even though you had a 485 on file, and even though you attended a 485 interview with the I-130,
yes,
that those idiots screwed it up and think that they're not sure whether or not you want to adjust status, even though you were sitting across the table from them in their office, they still are so dumb that they think you might be wanting to consular process.
right.
Got it. Okay.
And then we in July, when we got this approval, we immediately called 1-800, and the case was given to tier 2. And then we waited for the call for about 1 month. But on 30th day, we got a mail that they have carefully observed our situation, and what they have determined that our field office is best positioned to solve this issue. So now 3 months are about to happen after my interview, and we are sitting with only 130 approval and not 485.
What country
And
are you from?
India.
So you don't think any of this is our fault? It's entirely their fault. We didn't make any mistakes on the forms. Everything was filed correctly.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So what's your question for me, SJ?
The question is what should we do? Should I mean, when can we file? I mean, do you think a lawsuit will help, or when the cause of action will arise, first of all, and then what are the other options that we have also sent them a letter to the field office, to the interviewing officer, mentioning that all these things. We were surprised and confused. Why?
Yeah.
Because she gave us the letter where it says the continuance letter I-485.
Which field office was it?
New York.
Yeah, it sounds like they just, I mean, it sounds to me like they set your file down for a while and then they sort of forgot that you we're in the United States. It just seems really, really stupid, and that maybe somebody internally clicked the wrong box. I think a lawsuit would help. I mean, here's what I would do if I were you, SJ. You said you wrote a letter to the field office director.
Right.
Have you?
No, we wrote the letter to the interviewing officer and copy to the field office director.
Perfect. Yeah. How long ago did you send that?
About 25 days ago.
Okay, so I was going to say give them a month. So I would say if you want to sue, now would be a good time. It should get things moving. It'll get it all resolved. You know, it's sort of a pain in the butt. You got to spend that money, but I think it would work on a case like this. When they make really dumb mistakes, those are good ones to file lawsuits on. You could wait longer if you want. I'm not trying to talk you into it, but yeah, I think a lawsuit would help.
But on 485 continuous letter that she gave on the interview date, it was clearly mentioned that for 120 days we should wait or something.
Oh, that doesn't
Do
mean
you think
anything.
it can agitate them? Any
No,
loss?
no, I've sued them 1,300 times. They don't get mad. They just get to work on the case. They don't get angry when you sue them.
Okay.
Especially New York.
Mm-hmm. And my last question is, do you think if I write to, I was thinking, shall we write to the director of the district director, you know, and copy to the field office director and copy to the interviewing officer? With that help?
The thing that I found interesting in what you said, SJ, which we don't really hear that often, is I can't think of many times where I've heard from a tier 2 officer or someone else at maybe one of the service centers for them saying, this is something better figured out at the field office. That just seems like a strange thing to say. So to me, that means they're all just passing your case
Yes,
around and nobody
like
really
ping
knows.
pong. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think you could send a letter to whomever you want. Hopefully that'll work, but I wouldn't get my hopes up.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. That's what I just wanted to know. But you said that we can file after like 4 months or 3 months.
You can file a lawsuit tomorrow as far as I care.
Okay. I just don't want to agitate anyone.
SJ, I'm telling you, I've literally sued them 1,300 times. I've never once had USCIS or the U.S. attorney say, Jim, you bastard, we're going to get your client and then go after him. I honestly feel after 1,300 lawsuits that they play it straight. They treat people fairly, and that just is a fast forward button to the decision. It's like I sue them. We send them a copy of it and they say, hey, where's SJ's case? And they go, oh, Mary has it. Oh, okay. Mary, what's going on with SJ? I don't know. Oh shit, I approved this case. And they're like, well, yeah, you approved. Oh, hold on. Oh, I only approved the I-130. And then I clicked this weird box that said, I'm not sure whether SJ wants the consular process or adjust status. Oh yeah, let me fix that. I'll just unclick that box. There goes the green card. That's what's going to happen. No one's going to get mad at you, SJ.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate that.
All right, buddy. Have a good
God bless
day.
you.
Have a good walk.
You too. Thank you.
See ya. All right. I've been walking a lot myself lately. Walking's good exercise. Don't underestimate how much walking can help. Now, listen, the waiting room is full, but I don't see many faces. I don't know if you're on there if I don't see your face. I do see Amos's face, so I know Amos is ready to go. What's up, Amos? You're on mute.
Thank you. How you doing, Jim?
I'm great. How are you, Amos?
I am doing well. I just love your show. I've been following. I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
I just want to know if I am actually eligible for the national interest waiver.
Okay.
I've been here. I came in 2015 August, and I've been here for about 7 years now. I did my master's program, Masters of Divinity, and currently doing my PhD in world religions here in the U.S. And you know, I've been involved in kind of writing. I just one of my article was published last year, and then I'm going to be presenting a paper in Denver, Colorado this year, November. And then also I've been elected by what is called the African Christian Fellowship of the Kentucky chapter. It's not a paid job, but it's a 501(c) organization. Yeah, so that's why I'm actually asking you to know what is actually needed and whether or not I'm actually eligible for that.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's dropped, but recently I made a pretty long video on national interest waiver, so you might check out that video, but I'm happy to talk through my thoughts on that. Okay, so where we start from in analyzing national interest waiver is the fact that for the vast majority of employees who want to get an employment-based green card, they have to go through what's called the PERM process. So the PERM process involves the employer proving to the satisfaction of the Department of Labor that they're going to pay the prevailing wage. And then after 6 or 7 or 8 months, when we get the wage, so that is this occupation in this geographic area, what's the salary? Once we get the prevailing wage, then we have to go through the PERM process, which is again another part of the Department of Labor, where we have to find there's an employer who posts the job, says this is what we're going to pay for the job, and then they have to do what's called a good faith recruitment effort. They have to post the job in, probably for you, like in religious magazines, in the newspaper, and where the biggest newspaper where the job will be. And they have to go through this recruitment process where they determine whether or not there are any American U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents who can do this job, whatever the job is. Most employers don't like the PERM process. They don't like the government telling them what salary they have to pay. They don't like the hassle of getting all these resumes and having to figure out whether or not an American is better than Amos at the job. And so everybody knows that PERM sucks, right? That PERM is not fun. So the national interest waiver is a narrow exception to that rule that most employers and most employees have to go through PERM. And when you talk about national interest and getting a waiver for those requirements of PERM, you sort of have to operate on two tracks. One is, I am doing a job that's in the national interest of the United States. The United States would be better off if I'm here in the United States doing my job, as opposed to doing it back in my home country or doing it in Canada, which gives out employment-based green cards a lot easier, employment-based status a lot easier than we do. So that's one prong of national interest, that you're doing work that advances the United States. The other question then is, how does not requiring you to find an employer and to go through PERM, how does that advance the national interest? So it's your job does something in the national interest, and your job is so important that we should let you get away with or not have to go through PERM. So my question to you is, and to me, in my mind, and I'll say two more things real quick, Amos. Number one, I'm very conservative on this. I discourage people more than I encourage people to go through national interest waiver, because I think there's a lot of lawyers out there who saw some expanded guidance from the Biden team and are just telling everybody. I had a guy on here the other day talking about national interest waiver. He didn't even know what it meant. Like, he couldn't even articulate what his job was. He just found some lawyer to pay some money, and she was happy to take his money, but he's never going to get a national interest waiver. I don't want to be that guy, right? So I tell all you that, knowing that I'm sort of pessimistic out of the box about it. I don't like, for me, national interest is, I'm working on a COVID cure. I'm working on a cure for cancer, or I am working on, like nuclear technology that's going to let us put a power plant on the moon or something like that. So when I hear things about divinity majors and things like that, that makes me think, boy, USAS might think that he needs to go find an employer to sponsor him. And that a lot of times I think they think that people go the national interest route because they've struck out on finding an employer. So those are sort of all my thoughts on the national interest waiver. You can go watch that other video, but that's basically what I said. But I'll let you talk for a while.
Yeah. So I was just actually wondering. I thought that maybe if one is given different opportunities just for the betterment of the country, then that can kind of serve as a way.
Yeah, I think that's a tough sell. I think your efforts would be better focused on trying to find a university or a school or an employer that would sponsor you for a green card than national interest waiver.
So would that have to go through the label certification, like you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks, Amos. Good luck,
I appreciate
bud.
it. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for coming on the show. All right, that was Amos. Let's say hi to Elam. Hi, Elam.
Hey, Mr. Jim. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good to hear that. I'm glad that you just gave me this opportunity to like communicate or talk to you on YouTube. I've got two questions. One of them is regarding N400 interview, which is coming up late this month.
Okay, great.
I have so I filled out my N400 form by myself, and I haven't done as much as research regarding traffic ticket and stuff like that. So there was in part 12 there is have you ever and do you ever something like that?
Have you ever been arrested?
Uh,
Have you ever been arrested, cited, detained, or charged?
right. I
Yep.
haven't I mean, I've got like some like one or two speeding and violation stuff like that. So basically, I'm a serial truck driver.
Mhm.
So I have got 2 speeding ticket and something like that, and I have got a misdemeanor for moving while I was out of service. It is basically, so when officer pull you somewhere and then they ask you to stay or complete 10 hours out of service. For some chance we use logbooks, so my logbooks was correct to move, it was already 10 hours out of service. It was completed, but since officers do his an inspection, it was taking almost 1.5 hours, so he counts that hours as non out of service after he
Mhm.
completed, and then he count from that time. So in that case, so I hired the lawyer, and then he was fighting for that, and basically I was found guilty. So since found guilty, and like you know DMV suspend my CDL for 6 months. Just CDL, not like class O. CDL class A.
Mhm.
So, but this thing I haven't mentioned on my N400 form. My point is how so my interview is coming up. Next following week. So how to how to how to mention this case to the officers. Which I
When
didn't
did,
answer it on the forum.
when did the case happen?
It was June last year, which was 2021.
And do you have all the paperwork related to it?
Basically, yeah, I have got every single thing. I did my arrangement for violation, speeding, and as well as for this case, I have got everything I have to. Whatever document it would be, like hiring a lawyer, and I have arranged or I have collected every single thing. But I was kind of nervousness about this case. How to tell the
Yeah.
officer that I have got this and then
So
this and
which field office is this? Where will your interview be? What city is your interview
yeah,
going to
it is
be?
gonna be in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. So, if they were to ask you why didn't you put that on the form originally, what's your answer?
My answer would be, so I'm not a I'm not a I'm not the official lawyer. I
No.
have done
No. It's a pretty easy question. It's a
okay,
pretty easy question. It's not a complicated legal issue. You knew when you filed the N400 that you had this misdemeanor. How could you not
right.
list it? That saying I'm not an official lawyer isn't going to cut it. So here's the real problem. Here's the real problem.
Mhm.
So between the time that you filed the case and now, they either took your fingerprints or they're using your fingerprints, right? So they have completed, if they've scheduled your interview in Omaha next week, that means they've finished your background check. And when they got their background check, it's going to say misdemeanor, 6-month suspension, and it's going to say 2021. And then they're going to pull that up. The officer is going to pull that up and say, 2021 misdemeanor, 6-month suspension. Then they're going to say, and look at this N400. It says, have you ever? And so then what happens is they're like, before they come out to get you, they're going like this. They're like, yeah, I can get this guy. I'm going to screw him out of his citizenship. Just watch me. Right? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring him in here and I'm going to go through all the questions. And I bet that when I ask him, have you ever been arrested, cited, charged, or detained? He's going to say, no, I haven't. And when he says no, then I'm going to have him lying to me twice. He lied on his N400 and he lied when he's sitting here across from me. Okay? So then I'm going to ask him, why'd you lie? And he's going to say, well, I wasn't an official lawyer, so I don't know. That's not going to cut it. So here's what needs to happen. Number one, you should not go to this interview without a lawyer. That's number one. Number two, that lawyer should prepare a form that gives a different answer to that question. That says, question number 47 or whatever it is. Have you ever been arrested, cited, charged, or detained? Yes, I have. Yes, I have this misdemeanor driving charge. I was a driver for a living. The officer didn't keep track of the amount of hours I was out of service, and it wasn't fair, but I had to plead guilty, and I took care of it. Now, to me, that happened during the period of good moral character that you need. You need to show 3 or 5 years of good moral character. It was just 1 year before, and it seems like you weren't entirely honest about it when you submitted the form. They're not going to like any of that stuff. So unless you have an attorney there to say, hey, it wasn't until Alan came to see me that I explained to him that that's a citation. That's what you were asking about. And because he didn't know, that's why he submitted without it. Now that I'm the attorney, I'm cleaning that up. Here it is. It's all resolved. He's a good guy. He wasn't trying to trick anybody. We're not here to lie. It's all legit. Please give us our citizenship. I think if you do what I just said, it's a 40% chance you get it. I think they're not going to like that you A, had it just before you filed for citizenship, and B, that you didn't disclose it.
Okay, so you're saying that I gotta hire a lawyer for
Yes.
my interview.
I would not go.
For
I would
sure.
not go to that interview without a lawyer.
Okay. So what do you think? Like, if I hire a lawyer, what would be the outcome? I mean, is there a chance that they deny me? Is there
Yeah,
a
I just
chance
said. I think even if the lawyer tells them what I said and does it the way I said, I still think there's a more than 50% chance you get denied. I think you should proceed with it, but they're not going to like the misdemeanor. They're not going to like the misdemeanor being in 2021, and they're not going to like the fact that you didn't put it on your N400. I think you can still get approved. I wouldn't withdraw it, but I also wouldn't go in there without a lawyer.
Okay, it sounds awesome. And thank you, I really appreciate for your answer. And my next question is regarding K1 or K3 visa. I mean, in 2022 or 23 next year, so which one would be better if I would become a citizen or as a LPR or lawful permanent resident? I mean, which case or K1 or K2 would be best for me, like for my fiance, which is out of
I think you mean K1 or I-130. Is that what you mean? Like to either get married or go the fiance route? Is that what you mean?
You're right. K1 or K3, like fiance or marriage.
K3 is BS.
Spouse.
Forget about K3. Don't waste your time with K3. Either you file as if you become a citizen, you have the option. If you don't become a citizen, you have to get married, right? So it's not fiancés of green card holders don't get a visa. It's only spouses of fiancés of U.S. citizens or spouses of green card holders or spouses of U.S. citizens. But fiancés of green card holders can't come. They have to be married.
Okay, so right. So if I become a citizen, I mean K1 is so K3 is fiance, right? So
no, K1 is fiance, but K3 don't worry about K3. K3 is not you're talking about I-130. So my vote is whatever you're going to apply for, do it through marriage. Don't do it through fiance. I'm down on fiance cases. They take longer. They play more games with them. I'd rather you just get married.
Okay, sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. So, what is your suggestion? I mean, how can I get a lawyer? I mean, anywhere from my city or
Yeah, look
immigration
for
lawyer
someone
or something?
for someone from Omaha and get someone who's. I'm going to do a video on how to pick your immigration lawyer, but there's this thing called AILA, American Immigration Lawyers Association. Make sure that you have someone there, and make sure they have a lot of good Google reviews, and see if they can help you on the day of the interview. You're not going to have a lot of choices because it's 2 weeks away.
Right, it is. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Jim. I
All right,
really
Alan.
appreciate
Have
it.
a good day.
Your
Yeah,
giving
for
me
sure.
time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. The Jets are down 10-3. In case you're wondering, we got a lot of comments. I can't get to all those, but we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central. Next show is 1 p.m. Central. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll see you next time.